Chapter 1, Ashford Bay. Part 3, The Sheriff. Night took the town quick, like a card dealer who didn't trust the players. By the time I reached the Seaward, the lighthouse had thrown its first pale blade through the mist. It moved slow, patient, cutting a track across the harbor that made every wet surface tell the truth for a second and then change its mind. Mr. Greeley looked up from his ledger when I came in. "Visitors," he said, as if the word had more edges than usual. He nodded toward the parlor, a square room with 2 chairs, a fireplace that hadn't forgiven summer, and a brass spittoon that was purely decorative if you asked civilization. The man in the hat sat in one of the chairs with the concentration of a ship's figurehead. 55 and made of corners. Broad shoulders. Mustache trimmed like a line of law. The hat didn't belong to this coast, it brought a little dry country with it and dared the fog to argue. "Evening," he said without standing. "You must be Mr. Reed." "Depending who's asking," I said. He allowed the ghost of a smile. "Sheriff Harvey. Sit a spell." He pronounced the invitation like a warrant. I took the other chair. The lamp made a small island out of us. Greeley found a task somewhere else and let us be marooned. "You came in on the afternoon bus," Harvey said. "Checked a room. Walked to the wharf. Asked the bartender questions. Went to the library when decent people are shopping for supper." His eyes measured me the way a carpenter does a beam he might not trust. "I could ask what you're looking for, but you'd lie nicely and we'd both feel polite and not much improved." "I'm writing a piece," I said. "Travel. Coastal colors. Your fog photographs well." "Fog photographs everything if you've got the patience." He leaned back until the chair complained. "Man on the rocks this morning. Paper said as much as it should. Name won't print, till the widow's told." Was he a volunteer? Harvey's mouth didn't move but the room got smaller. "Folks here don't fall easy. If a man goes off the rock, it's because somebody or something took him that direction." The hat brimmed through his eyes into their own weather. "You plan to write about our grief?" "I plan to listen to it. Listening is fine." He unbuttoned his jacket with the slow care of a man counting. A badge flashed and went shy again. "Interfering is not. We got our ways." "Old post office," I said. "That's your shop." His eyebrows made a private decision. "You are a reader. Of signs. Read this one," he said. "You keep your feet out of my tracks and your questions on the polite side of doors. Dr. Avery's got the body for now. We'll have a word for the family before morning. You don't need to make our work louder." "Dr. Avery? County pathologist," he said. "Sharp as cold iron, which is the only way to do that job and still sleep. You'll meet her if you insist on writing your piece the hard way." He dipped his chin at the Chronicle folded on the little table. "You know the teeth?" "I know a few kinds. These are ours," he said. "We've made terms with them. Outsiders don't do as well. The Caldwell boys used to swim closer than sense would permit. Mr. Henry Caldwell wrote checks to the Lighthouse Fund until the ink learned the route by heart. You'll find his name where you find mortar. The town's patron saint. The town's man with a large wallet. He let that sit. And a temper when it suits." The lamp's silk shade breathed a little brown light around the room. It showed a nick on his knuckle and the white line of a long-heeled cut across the back of his hand. "I hear you met Miss Whitmore." "Briefly. She reads men like catalogs," he said. "Just because she lets you borrow a book doesn't mean she'll let you borrow time." We left the sentence in the air and watched it find its place. Out beyond the window, the foghorn rolled its note along the wharf and the lighthouse sent the beam around again. It slid across the parlor wall and turned the picture frames into witnesses. "Mr. Reed," Harvey said at last, "I don't mind a stranger with decent shoes and a pencil that stays quiet. I do mind strangers who like to jump fences. You get me?" "I get you." "Good. He stood with the stiffness of a man who'd been sitting too long in a chair that wasn't his. "I'll take a look at that camera of yours before you leave town. It has a way of seeing what it wasn't invited to see." He set his hat just so. "Midnight's a damp hour. Don't let it make you foolish." He walked out without looking back. The door sighed. Greeley reappeared, suddenly at ease. "Tea," he offered, like the weather had changed. "Something that puts hair on it," I said. He brought a bottle that had learned humility and 2 short glasses. "Sheriff Harvey doesn't waste words," Greeley said, pouring. "He keeps them in a jar and spends them only as needed." "He spend any on you?" "Just enough to remind me I am fond of my business license." Greeley slid a glass over. "If you're thinking of taking the path to the point tonight, remember the fence is broken after the second curve. Men who know it step over. Men who don't hit their shins and call for their mothers." "I'm fresh out of mother," I said. "Thanks for the map." Upstairs, the room had acquired a colder kind of quiet. I set the valise on the chair, folded a scarf into my coat pocket, and checked the camera by lamplight. Film, 3 good shots left on the roll. The notebook opened to the page with the symbol. The line struck through the pupil looked more confident than it had the first time I drew it. Like practice made it braver. From the hall, a radio murmured somebody else's life. A couple laughed, the sound brief and domesticated. The lighthouse beam found my window and moved on. I turned down the lamp and sat on the edge of the bed with the dark like a stranger in the room. When you plan to step into night work, the body tries to argue. It likes chairs and stoves and daylight tasks. The hand goes to the pocket where the letter lives and remembers it could stop this. It never does. I waited for the slow hands of the travel alarm to climb toward 12. At 10:30 I smoked half a cigarette for the idea of it and let the other half die in the glass. At 11 I put on the hat. At 11:15 I told myself the walk would warm me. At 11:30 the foghorn spoke again and I answered by opening the door. The hallway had the smell of carpet and old soap. The lobby had the smell of polish. Outside, the fog had thickened into a soft refusal. Street lamps made small domes, each its own little country. The beam swung across the harbor like a searching thought. I kept to the sidewalk where it knew me, then cut down Bate Street toward the wharf. Boards creaked the way boards do when they know other feet. Nets hung like curtains in a house without windows. Somewhere a boat knocked its hull against a piling, impatient. Mick's place showed a weak gold under the door, the hour too late for anything but closing lies. I didn't test the latch. Past the net loft, a cat I could have sworn I'd met earlier told me I was predictable and let me pass. The path to the point starts as a foot-worn ribbon between scrub and broken fence. Mr. Greeley hadn't lied, after the second curve the rail gave up. A man could step over easy if he was invited. I wasn't, so I did it anyway. Grass held the days damp like a grudge. The cliff breathed the sea up at me. Far below, water moved against stone with the sound of a slow argument. The stripe from the lamp rolled across the belly of the fog and through my shadow long and thin. I kept my hands out where the night could see them. Halfway down, a shape peeled off the dark and became a person because I willed it to. The lamp's sweep gave me a chin, a coat, the bite of a cigarette. Not big. Balanced on the balls of their feet. A voice, when it came, would do so from the middle of the body rather than the throat. "You read?" The question slipped out and didn't leave footprints. "I am." "Good," the voice said. "It's worse if you aren't." A match blew to life, cupping the face in a coin of light. The eyes were too calm for the hour. The match died and the calm stayed. "You got the note." "I did." "Then listen." A hand lifted, pointed past my shoulder where the beam would come again in a count of 3. When the lamp swings left, you'll see the teeth show themselves between breaths. There's a cut in the rock no tourists find. If a man wanted to slip and not be noticed by his own wife, that's where he'd slip. Understand? I understand the mechanics. The motive's your department. A small, humorless exhale of smoke. You'll ask about the Caldwells. You'll ask about the sheriff. Ask instead who keeps the ledger at the docks and who's missing a page this week. Who am I asking now? Someone who can't afford to be seen speaking to you, the voice said. Someone who owes the light a debt and pays it in whispers. The beam reached us, crossed us, moved on. For a second I thought I saw a scar at the angle of the jaw, and then I decided I hadn't. Why me? I asked. Because you count to 5 before you answer a question, the stranger said. And because you walked past 3 chances to drink tonight and saved your hands for the rail. A rustle of cloth. Midnight's your hour. Don't be early. Don't be late. And Mr. Reed, don't bring friends. The shape unhooked from the dark and took the path the way a cat uses distance, absolutely. I listened to the steps until the sea stole them from me. I stood there and let the slow fear do its job, loosen the senses, sharpen the ears, take the extra out of breath. When the lamp swung again, the fog thinned enough to show the line of the teeth. Black rock, white water, a mouth laughing at notions of safety. If there was a cut to hide in, it would be where the foam jumped differently. Somewhere behind me, a pebble moved that I hadn't invited to move. I turned my head and every hair on the back of my neck signed a petition. The night didn't offer a source. The sound didn't come again. I could have put it down to nerves if my nerves had ever been that imaginative. I checked my watch by the faint self-importance of its hands. 11:54. The foghorn sighed once like an old man standing up. I took one step closer to the rail and felt the cliff under me, patient and wet. The lamp turned. Midnight was coming on a belt of light.